Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't voluntarily leaving The Apprentice. He was fired by his bad, pathetic ratings. Not by me. Sad end to great show. I believe that to be a trivial fight. Would that not be one of those trivial fights that are over?
I'd put that in the trivial.
We shouldn't have assumed a person he's been doing this for a long time. We've seen him in the national stage for 2 years now. He likes to tweet. He likes to tweet about ratings. He wasn't going to change by next Tuesday. I do think also the momentum from Tuesday was over once the Sessions story came out in the Post. So at the end of the day, even that brief moment of like maybe he can sort of have an agenda and sort of lead the conversation was over the moment we got back to Russia. So I think that moment was squandered. Not necessarily the tweets were not great yesterday, but also the real driving event of the week was the Sessions news and the recusal.
Right. And the most fundamental element of Donald Trump's personality, as Julie knows well from covering him, is he wants to be respected and taken seriously. He covets that like nothing else, okay? Well, guess what? After that speech, the coverage that night and the next day, he was taken seriously. He was treated as the president. That drove the left crazy, but it made him, I'm sure, probably happier than he's been than at any other point in his presidency. And the fact that that was taken away from him in his mind, and he goes back to these questions about Russia, that's why he's so furious, because he got this legitimacy given to him, conferred on him, and then he had it snatched away, basically.
He felt what it was like to have Washington, a town that he is an outsider in, approve of him. And he liked that feeling, and that's understandable. It's interesting, though, to look at how the White House came out of that speech. It was a well-received speech, and their strategy was to essentially just sit back.
Bask in it, yeah.
Bask in it for a whole day. They did nothing the day after. Instead of, they could have gone out there.
Because they know he likes good reviews, though. They thought it would help him.
Exactly.
And maybe teach him a lesson about staying on track and discipline.
But they did nothing to kind of try to build off that momentum, to use it to their advantage. What if they had come off of that well-received speech and moved forward quickly on health care, or moved forward on something with tax reform and tried to build their policy agenda around the well-received speech?
Instead, he was on the deck of the USS Gerald R. Ford, a supercarrier, which is a traditional, Donald Trump's different in many ways. This is very traditional. Hit the road, get a good stage.
But to what end? What's the message?
He wanted to talk about military spending there, but then he went down below on the deck and he was facing all these questions about Jeff Sessions. He goes on the record saying he doesn't think Jeff Sessions has to recuse himself. And by the time he's back in Washington, Jeff Sessions has done that. Isn't the president supposed to know his attorney general is about to recuse himself?
One would think, but look, I think he did have a good night on Tuesday. He did blow it up later in the week. I fully expected that going through the week. But there's this strange thing that happens with him, which is, you say, to what end? I think that's the big question here. Is like, when does legislation move forward and when do you actually sign something? But on the other hand, his bad numbers and bad news cycles don't have as much impact on his support as they would on other politicians. And so he has more flexibility than somebody else would at the same number and going through the same news cycles. But he has to eventually put that to work, getting something through Congress, I think, or else it's going to run out on him.
Right. And so you mentioned the point earlier that he likes to be liked and respected. He's calling the former President Obama now, accusing him of Nixonian conduct, McCarthyism, Watergate-like conduct. Wasn't that long ago he had a very different view?
It's a very strange phenomenon. We get along. I don't know if he'll admit this, but he likes me.
How do you know he likes you?
I like him because I can feel it.
What happened?
Where's the love?
Times change. I think that it will be interesting going forward. Presidents sometimes talk privately, current presidents and former presidents. And during the transition, there was a lot of communication between Obama and Trump. And I think Obama felt like he was able to shape at least the way Trump was thinking about matters in real time. I think it will be fascinating to see if there continues to be some kind of behind-the-scenes conversation between these two.
I have to kind of guess that if you're President Obama and you've just been accused of illegally wiretapping somebody, that President Obama most likely thinks the next move then is up to President Trump.
I mean, Obama might start tweeting about State of the Union ratings. That'd be the way to get to
crowd size.
Now. All right, very important week for the president ahead. Again, we're looking for the new travel ban, action on Obamacare. Our reporters share from their notebooks next, including insight on a man you've probably never heard of, but who has a critical role in the replacing Obamacare debate.
Four distinct driving modes. Dynamic handling.
Right. Signal.
Quicker shifts. Make every car a performance car. This is the ultra-responsive Acura TLX, and this is how we make it.
Visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the TLX.